host today because I had to leave early. Did you hear that? I have to leave early, so Sunny's going to be the host, and she's got it all under control. Can you hear Geshe-la?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. Okay, good. Yes.
Yes. In fact, you can start the prayer. Oh, thank you.
Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is free of elaborations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the bodhisattvas, and the Buddhas, which through the knowledge of all lead hearers seeking pacification to complete peace, which through the knowledge of paths causes those helping migrators to achieve the aims of the world, and through the possession of which helps subduers expound a variety of teachings. The one who was transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Shugata, and protector, to you I make prostrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays, to you, the Buddha, I make prostrations. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Okay, I will start this and you will all join me. And this mother is so precious. And if possible, we learn this by heart. And when we travel by cars, walk in the wilderness, in the forest, or go in the sea, in a boat, ships, and so forth. And also by aeroplane, train. And you can recite this mantra for all the beings around. Innumerable creatures are there. And the spirits, non-human beings are there. Pray for them. And from the aeroplane, you can see all the millions of the people are covered under your view. You pray for them. So this is so precious. And of course, the best thing is we have to remember the meaning. I remember I shared this earlier. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum te sham dathagato hyavatat Tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Okay, Sunny, continue reading.
All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear light, and non-composite, such is the nectar-like Dharma I have discovered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching, in silence I will retire into the woods. Beyond utterance, thought, and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unceased, and has the nature of space. It is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas of the three times, I pay obeisance. All composite things are impermanent. All contaminated things are of the nature of suffering. All phenomena are of the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Transcending sorrow is peace. The Guru is the Buddha. The Guru is the Dharma. Likewise, the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of everything wholesome. I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, you liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expanse of billions of eons. The Buddha does not wash the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of suchness that beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered in misery's gloom. Instructions on parting from the four attachments. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view.
Sutra mantra now. Heart Sutra mantra 3 times together. Deyata Om Gate Gate Aragate Arasam Gate Bodhisvatyata Om Gate Gate Aragate Arasam Gate Bodhisvatyata Om Gate Gate Aragate Arasam Gate Bodhisvaha. Okay. So what we read right now, the Heart Sutra mantra, Gade Gade Para Gade Para Sam Gade Bodhi Soham. Literally, it means go beyond, go utterly beyond, and establish your full awakening or establish your Buddhahood. Meaning that don't remain in the fears of samsara, don't remain in this life of stress, misery, sadness, tears. Move from where you are to the fearlessness and infinite happiness. And yes, say it is like a gold. We have the gold. And this gold, we don't see that. It's not visible. Not because that it is absent. It's obscured by the mental defilements. And when the Buddha taught, gade, gade, paragade, go, go, go beyond, go utterly beyond, establishing enlightenment, meaning that the Buddhahood is inside you, the state of freedom, state of the fearlessness, and state of infinite happiness. These two are within you. Just remove the mental dirt. The question is how? So what we discussed earlier, the last two sessions, is that the how. For this, we need to know the nature of the mental defilements. And the nature of mental defilements, we came to know that somehow the gross ones referred to as afflictive obscurations, and the subtle ones referred to as the cognitive obscurations. And these two somehow they are all connected with the self-grasping ignorance, and more precisely, self-grasping ignorance. And some of them are the offshoots of this self-grasping ignorance in the form of attachment, anger, jealousy, all these afflictive emotions. And then their corresponding contaminated karmas, 10 non-virtuous actions, and so forth. And then the others, they're like the root, or say the subtle stains, self-grasping ignorance, and the subtle stains leak out of this, like the subtle imprints. These are the cognitive obscurations. So we need to remove the self-grasping ignorance and put effort to remove the stains. Then the goal inside will become manifest fully, that you experience fearlessness and infinite happiness. Okay. So the last two sessions, we created the ground, we created the foundation, and now if ignorance is somehow self-grasping ignorance is the root of our miseries, and the subtle stains of this as the root for us not to experience expansive happiness. How to get rid of that? Apply the remedies. What remedies for this? And the darkness, what we said earlier in the last two classes, is that when you are in dark, you don't see the reality. You don't see what's going around you. So for this, what we need to do? We need to light a candle. Instead of saying prayers to Buddha, please remove the darkness. This is what I shared with you last time. If you do that, the Buddha would be very upset. What an unwise follower, what an unwise disciple. Whereas if you light a candle, the Buddha would be very happy, so proud. This is a very sensible person. So likewise, to remove the darkness, it just says to remove the darkness, you need to ignite the light, introduce a light. And this light should have two qualities. One is that the light should be extremely bright, and the light should be very steady. Likewise, to remove the darkness of ignorance. Ignorance is like darkness. In dark, we don't see around us what is around us. And with ignorance, you don't see the reality. It blurs you from having the vision of the reality. So this ignorance, to remove this, the only way by which to do so is by introducing the light of the wisdom. And just as the light for us to read books, it requires two qualities, the brightness and the steadiness. Even this wisdom to be introduced, the light of the wisdom should have two qualities. One, the brightness, sharpness of the intelligence, the subtlety of the intelligence, of the wisdom, and the steadiness of the wisdom. For the steadiness, we need to do the single point of meditation. And for the sharpness, the only thing to do is, only thing by which to create the sharpness of the intelligence or the wisdom is by studying, reflecting, and meditating. This is the only way. So, having said this, so since we have only today and tomorrow, only 2 sessions left, now we're talking about what this wisdom is. We've created I would say that created a good deal of the foundation of why this wisdom is required, the importance of the wisdom. So with this, and then the ground that we also created was the emptiness, which we're going to study, and emptiness should be interpreted as dependent origination. How the dependent origination means the middle way. Therefore, emptiness means the middle way, not not nihilism. This is what we learned before. So this is extremely important ground, without which, if we delve into emptiness, there's every tendency that one can fall into nihilism. Invariably, one will fall into nihilism. And we also asked two questions to really go into emptiness, and that always remember, go back to these two questions every now and then. You may see that, what is this? Why do you have to go back to these two questions? The first question, do things exist? Do things exist? Answer should be yes. If you say no, things don't exist, you fall into nihilism. This is not emptiness. Emptiness doesn't mean nothing exists. So things do exist. If things do exist, if you say yes to the first question, then you are freed from the extreme of nihilism. Then you're entitled to go for the second question. And the second question is, how do things exist? Do they exist objectively? If your answer is yes, you fall into absolutism, that things exist objectively, that things exist intrinsically, inherently. This is absolutism. So the answer should be no. If you say no, you're free from the extreme of the absolutism. So combining together, giving the correct answers to the two questions frees you from the two extremes. Being free from two extremes is following the middle way. This is so important. And for us, whenever, by studying the emptiness, by studying, reflecting, meditating, and if you ever come to such thoughts that if these things don't exist, then how do you account for the cause and effect? Or let's say that if things don't exist, then what is the norm? What is the point of the ethical norms, ethics, and so forth? So for this, go back to these two questions. Do things exist? Answer is yes. Ethics exists. Everything exists. So this is what is bound to happen to many people. So I've been teaching, sharing about emptiness for the last many years. And every time I give this warning, people still continue to ask this question. Lucky that I've already given the warning. And then I would say that go back to the first two questions. Then they would go back, then they would realize, yes, that's true. Okay. So this is very important for us to protect us from falling into nihilism and absolutism when we proceed through the journey of the wisdom of emptiness, exploring what the wisdom of emptiness is. Okay. So now what is emptiness? We have no time to to go too much into detail. Well, now we have to jump into this. What is emptiness? What's the reality? The reality, what he said, is that objectively nothing exists. Subjectively, everything exists. Okay, let's not forget it. Objectively, nothing exists, and subjectively, everything exists. But on the contrary, okay, all of us, just pick something which is next to you. Pick that up and show that to me. Pick that up and show that to me. Okay, good. Now, not only you show this to me, you look at it yourself. You look at it with your own eyes. Look at it and see how does it appear to you? As objectively real or like a dream that your mind is creating it? How does it appear to you? This is a question. Okay, I'm sure that the object that you picked up, no doubt it appears as objectively real, not as a dream. How many agree with me, sense? Okay, so this is known as viewing the object as objectively real, viewing the object as intrinsically real. It's not subjective. It is seen as objectively. This is how the object appears. Okay, now my next question. Not only the object appears as truly real from the object? And then what is your belief? How do you believe? Do you believe it to be? Yes, of course it exists the way it appears to be subjective. It exists like this. How many of you believe in this resonance? Yes. So this belief that yes, of course, it appears object real, not like a dream, and it also exists like this. This is how it is. If this is your belief, that belief, the mind, okay, how the mind, say, the enlightened beings, they look at it, they get calmness, peace. For example, let's say that, okay, let's say we pick up a fresh cheesecake. It gives you a very pleasant feeling. A rotten cheesecake, it gives a very unpleasant feeling. And that too, somebody gives a happy birthday and give you a rotten cheesecake, you'll be very upset. Where somebody gives you, oh, happy birthday and very fresh cheesecake, there's so much joy in it. So there's the interplay, there's the interaction happening between your mind and the cheesecake. There's the interaction happening. So this interaction erupts in the form of joy. If the object is the fresh cheesecake, it erupts as unhappiness if it is the rotten cheesecake. So this interplay, and the cheesecake, you are yet to eat it. You are yet to eat it, but one is a rotten cheesecake and the other is a fresh cheesecake. Simply by looking at it, there's a pleasant feeling coming or this unpleasant feeling coming. So these feelings, how the cheesecake enters to your body? No, it doesn't end. It does not. It's just lying there. Rotten cheesecake and the fresh cheesecake, they're lying there. The object is just there, but simply by your mind, the interaction with the object, without the object moving into your body, without even coming in contact with your mouth, with your tongue, still it appears as, the emotions arise within us. Say pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, desire, the aversion, these things arise. So how these arise is no doubt through the interplay between the object and subject, interplay. So what is that interplay? What is that interaction? There are two interactions happening. Once the object appears and the mind engages with it. Say, for example, a small child tries to draw your attention. The small child tries to draw your attention by pulling you. But if you don't pay attention, you are inactive, you are passive, but child is from the object. Child is the object that is trying to pull your attention. And then you say, don't do it. When you say don't do it, then you become active. Your mind becomes active. So the object appears, the interaction is object appears and the subject apprehends the object. So these are the actions with which our mind interacts with the object. Object appears and the mind apprehends the object. Object appears to the subject and the subject apprehends the object. So when I ask, how does the object appear to you? You said it appears object real. So there's a mistake with respect to the appearance. Not only that you believe, your mind said, yes, it exists objectively. Your mind apprehends the object as object real. So not only the mistake happens on the appearance, mistake also happens in the apprehension of the object. So apprehension of the object is object real. This is known as self-grasping ignorance. And the object appearing as object real, that is not cognitive obscuration, but that relates to the cognitive obscuration. Whereas the mistake happens from the mind. Subject engages with the object to say the object exists as object real. That is self-grasping ignorance, which is afflictive obscuration. And mistaken appearance is related to the cognitive obscurations. This is so important. And those of us who already you are aware of the cognitive obscuration, afflictive obscuration, so forth, for you it makes a great sense. Whereas if you're not aware of this, it doesn't matter. Just forget it. Leave that aside. If your mind interacts with the object and your mind sees the object as object real, or the mind apprehends the object as object real, intrinsically real, that is self-grasping ignorance. Okay. Now, next question. The object. So this in my case, this the cover of the mug, the lid of the mug. So this object, how do you know that it does not exist objectively? What I said is that your mind believing that this object, your mind apprehending that this object exists objectively, this is self-grasping ignorance. This is ignorance. If there is ignorance means a mind which blurs, to see to have the vision of the reality. It stops you from having the vision of the reality, which means that what you're seeing is not the reality. That you see this object as objective real, this is not the reality. If this is not the reality, then the object should not be existing objectively. How do you know that? This question. So for this, we need to understand what is known as So for this, what we need to know is that our mind, again, a mind which interacts with the objects, this mind is of two kinds. Mind that interacts with the objects is of two kinds. For example, say in the modern physics, there is the quantum mechanics, quantum physics, and the theory of relativity theory. There are two. The relativity theory deals with the macro world, whereas the quantum mechanics, it deals with the macro world, micro electrons, protons, electrons, primarily on the electron level, the quark level, on that level. The relativity theory deals with the macro world of the gravity and so forth, whereas the quantum mechanics deals with the macro world. Okay. So these two worlds, macro world and micro world in physics, as of now, the physicists, they could not succeed to bring the two together. They cannot bridge the two. All the formulas to describe the macro world through relativity theory, when you try to, you cannot apply this to the macro world. All the formula just collapses when you apply this to the macro world. And the quantum mechanics, which work so well with the macro world, when you apply this to the macro world, again the quantum mechanics simply dismantles. It cannot be applied. So there's a total discrepancy there between these two theories. The physicists, they cannot bridge the two as of yet. They cannot bring about what is known as unified field theory. So these two things, micro and the macro. In other words, on a micro level, the concept of macro makes no sense. On a macro level, the concept of micro makes no sense according to physics. Similarly, in the Buddhist philosophy of emptiness, say, what is this? You will all say that this is water, a glass of water. How many agree with me, in a sense? This is a glass of water. Okay. Now, let's say that if I ask some of you to look at this through electron microscope, you will just see electrons, protons, neutrons. Where's the water? You'll say there's no water. Okay. Which means that the group A who saw this object through naked eyes, were they faulty? Were they mistaken? The answer is that wrong. That what they see is what is wrong. Or group B, who looks at the same object through electron microscope, sees just a bunch of electrons, protons, neutrons. There's nothing. There's water. Nothing. Nowhere. The water is nowhere hiding somewhere. Electron, protons, neutrons, they're also not water, and nowhere inside amidst these days as water hiding. Nothing is there as water. Which of the two perceptions is correct? Anyone? Quick. Anyone? Which of the two perceptions is correct? Robin?
Both of them are.
Both of them are correct.
Yes.
Okay. So are you Robin or you are non-Robin?
It depends on the relativity or on the aspect of merely labeled or mere,
No,
merely.
are you, they say, Robin, keep in mind, tomorrow morning, when you go to the shop and buy bread, right? So you ask, please give me a bread. And the person gives you bread. And you say, is it bread? You know, and he says, yes, this bread. No, it depends on, you know, what label, right? Then they will think that Robin, something wrong with the Robin. Hey, Robin, you go to mental hospital, right? Okay, so are you Robin or non-Robin?
I
Are you
still
in
think
America?
I still think I'm
Are you in
both.
America or not?
I am
Are
in
you
America.
in America or not?
Yes,
Are you in America or are you in non-America?
I'm in America.
Okay, so which means not both answers can be correct. If you say, are you in America or non-America, one should be correct, one should be wrong, right? You cannot say that I'm in America as well as non-America. Don't say that,
Well, but I mean,
right? At the same time, right? You
Okay.
can be American now, but maybe 10 years ago, you may be in some other countries. That's fine. In non-America is fine. At the now, where are you, right? Are you in America or are you are non-America?
right now I'm
What's
in
your answer, Robin?
America. Right now I'm in
Not in
America.
non-America. Are you in non-America?
I am in, are you saying non-America or North America?
N-O-N. N-O-N.
I'm in America. I am not
Non-America.
not in non-America.
Why can't you be in both? Okay, so look, this is a very serious question. Why can't you be in both together simultaneously, right? So if you say that simultaneously, if I'm both, I'm crazy. Likewise, if you say that this is water and this is not water simultaneously, this is water as well as non-water, both are correct, which means it is crazy. If it is water, it cannot be non-water. It is non-water, it cannot be water. You're getting it? Both cannot be right simultaneously. So this is the point. So if I boil this, and if I put this to extreme heat and pressure, and then say make the H hydrogen and oxygen split, and oxygen also split into electrons, protons, neutrons everywhere, then the water is gone. That is non-water. This one, I'm here to split. So we cannot say that is water as well as non-water simultaneously. Both cannot correct simultaneously. Okay. What is your point now? Anyone? Who is correct? Those who look at it through negative eyes will say that this is water. Those who look at this through electron microscope, there's no water, it's just electrons, protons, neutrons. Who is correct? Anyone else? Okay, Amy.
Muting, sorry. Depends on which point of view you're using. So if
Okay.
you're using a,
Amy is not saying that both are correct. Amy is saying that it depends on which point of view you are talking. From which point of view you are talking. This is what Amy is saying. Okay, now this is important. Let's say that the Amy's mother, Amy, your mother's name?
Miriam.
Miriam. Mary.
Miriam. Doesn't matter.
Miriam. Let's say that Miriam looks at Amy. And if I ask her, who is this? She said that she is my daughter, right? And then Zomba looks at, I asked Zomba, who is this? She said that she is my mom. She's not my daughter, she's mom, my mom. So same person, depending on which point of view, from Miriam points of view, the Amy is daughter. From Zomba's point of view, Amy's mother. Same person. So so here We cannot say that we have to think of the frame of reference. Which frame of reference you're talking from? From which the frame of reference, from which point of view you're talking, that determines what the object is. So therefore, so this is water from the point of view of the naked eyes is correct. From the point of view of the naked eyes, this is not non-water. But from the point of view of the electron microscope, this is non-water. This is not water. Okay. So from this, then what is this? What is this? Right? We say, keeping aside the two the frames of reference. What is this? What is this? If we say that it makes no sense, what is this means? What is this object? Object makes no sense independent of this subject. So therefore it is subjective. Independent of the subjects, object makes no sense as water or non-water. Okay, so from this we see that same object can be seen in two different ways depending on how you look at it. So one mind, which means your naked eyes. Your naked eyes look at it. So this kind of mind, which looks at it from distance, not too closely, from distance, those minds are known as conventional analysis. And the mind which looks at it very closely, like electron microscope, these minds are known as ultimate analysis. So all minds can be grouped into two categories: conventional analysis and ultimate analysis. For example, let's say from distance, we see the forest. We don't see the individual trees from distance. When you go into the forest, when you're too close to the forest, you don't see the forest. You see the individual trees. Okay, how many agree with me? Raise hands. From distance, you just see, everything is just mingled up. Oh, there's a dark. You see something dark there. There's a forest. And when you go into the forest, particularly nowadays, the people, they plant the trees with a specific distance, like say the 10 feet away from each other, 10 feet away, then you see the individual trees. You don't see the forest when you go into the forest. From distance away from the forest, 1 kilometer away from the forest, you see this a forest. You don't see the individual trees. So we see that the forest exists in the eyes of the eyes from the distance, and the forest dissolves in the eyes of the people within the forest. So
Geshe has a question.
Yes.
Geshe, sorry. So why is, if I understand that this is different points of reference, but why are they not simultaneous? If they're not simultaneous seeing of ultimate and conventional, then what is it?
No. So what I'm saying is that we cannot say that this is water, this is non-water, without considering the frames of reference. The same object, we cannot say that, oh, today, what is today? Today is 2023. No, then somebody says 2024. No, both of you cannot be correct. One should be wrong. No, both are correct. This is wrong. You're getting it? Whereas, when you include the frames of reference, like, okay, with your naked eyes as a frame of reference, this is water. With the electron microscope frame of reference, this is not water. This is just electrons, protons, neutrons. Okay, so when the frame of reference is one, when you keep one frame of reference, within that, you cannot get two different answers. With Zomba, Emmy's daughter, Zomba as the frame of reference, from her, oh, this is your mom, and this is your daughter. She cannot say, oh, she's my mom, she's my daughter. You cannot say that. Either you have to say she's my mom or she's my daughter. You have to say one. you cannot see both. Because for Zomba, Amy is mother, not the daughter. So Amy is daughter with respect to Mariam. Whereas she's a mother with respect to Zomba. So the frames of reference, these two are different. Okay. How many of you got till this point? Raise hands. Till this point, you understood it. Good. Okay. So what we said, what we come to learn is that all our minds, be it your mind, or be it the Buddha's mind, or be it anybody's mind, they should necessarily be classified into two: conventional analysis and ultimate analysis. The mind which looks at its object from distance is known as conventional analysis, like your naked eyes. Whereas the mind which looks at the same object very closely is known as ultimate analysis. So all the minds can be classified into two, either conventional analysis or ultimate analysis. From this, what we're going to learn is that the object which is seen by the valid ultimate analysis is known as ultimate truth. Object which is seen by the valid ultimate analysis is known as ultimate truth. And the object seen by the valid conventional analysis is known as the conventional truth. I added the word valid. This is the key. This is a key word, valid. For example, our mind, which sees this flower as objectively real. This is like ultimate analysis, but it is not valid ultimate analysis. This is invalid ultimate analysis, believing the flower to be objectively real. Okay, so we have what we learned today is that all our minds can be classified into two: ultimate analysis and conventional analysis. So conventional truth cannot be seen by the ultimate analysis, valid ultimate analysis. And the ultimate truth cannot be seen by the valid conventional analysis. You're getting it? Say, with the naked eyes, our naked eyes, you cannot see electrons, protons, neutrons. Under the electron microscope, you cannot see the water. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Good. Now, you say ultimate analysis is looking at what is there from the object. Conventional analysis is looking at the things as they appear to your subjective mind, not the object, not what is objective. It's more on the basis of what appears to the mind. Because ultimate analysis is looking at what is from the object, because it's looking at the object very closely. So if something is seen by the ultimate analysis, valid ultimate analysis, it should be the ultimate truth. So in Heart Sutra, when the Buddha taught, form is empty, emptiness is form. Form is not other than emptiness. Emptiness is not other than emptiness. The emptiness is not also not other than the form. This is extremely important 4 lines. We say that the Heart Sutra is the essence of all the sutras dealing with the perfection of wisdom. And within the Heart Sutra, these 4 lines form the quintessence of the Heart Sutra. In other words, these 4 lines are the quintessence of all the sutras which explains the perfection of wisdom. Innumerable 84,000 sutras explaining about the ultimate reality. So these 4 lines form the quintessence of these teachings. So what is this? Form is empty. Form is empty. This water is empty. Empty meaning that what is seen as water to naked eyes is not water to the ultimate analysis, the electron microscope. Is empty in the eyes of the ultimate analysis. So what is seen as form in the eyes of the conventional analysis is empty in the eyes of the empty of being a form to the eyes of the ultimate analysis. What is seen as empty by the ultimate analysis, this is actually seen as the form to the conventional analysis. Emptiness is form. So where is emptiness of the form? Where is the form? What is this? What is this object? If I ask, okay, let's say this is a form. What is this? If I ask the conventional analysis, what is this? Answer, this is a form. If I ask this with the ultimate analysis, what is this? No form, empty of form. So what the conventional analysis is a form is empty of form for the ultimate analysis. Form is empty. Second is emptiness form. What the ultimate analysis sees as empty of form is what the conventional analysis sees as a form. Next. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. What do you mean by that? Say, if I ask this, hey, you are seeing that conventional analysis, you are saying that this is a form. Where's the form? It's here. It's here. And then I ask the ultimate analysis, where's the emptiness of form? It's here. It's the same object. We point to the same object to be identified as form and to be identified as empty of form. We look at the same object. So form is empty. This is ultimate truth. Emptiness is form, this is conventional truth. And these two truths, they don't contradict. It's the same object. Form is not other than emptiness. Emptiness is also not other than form. So what is seen as form by the conventional analysis is not different from what is seen as emptiness by the ultimate analysis. What is seen as emptiness by the ultimate analysis is not different from what is seen as form by the ultimate conventional analysis. So these two truths are not contradictory. These two are the two truths of the same object. The two sides of the same coin. Okay, so the benefit is that if you see that form is empty, means what is seen as what is visibly seen to our subject as a form from the objects is empty. Form is empty. From the say, if I explain this in a very simple terms, how we technically explain is that what is seen as form by the conventional analysis is seen as empty by the ultimate analysis. Now, in simple terms, what I can say is that what is seen as form by the subjective mind is actually empty from the object. From the object is empty, from the subject it appears. So what is empty from the object is what appears as form to the subject. Emptiness is form. What is empty from the object is existent from the subject. Emptiness is form. And where to the subject it appears as the object is not different from what is empty from the object. It's the same thing. From the object is empty, from the subject it appears. So these two are the one and the same thing. In other words, the two sides of the same coin. Okay, with this in mind, the next question is, so from this, in a way, what we are saying is that from the object, the flower is empty. From the subject, the flower exists. The form exists from the subject. From the object is empty. Object-subject interaction. From the object is empty. From the subject, it exists. Okay, for this, everything, it's not just, the flower, is everything. Everything. We see things all object real. This is all optical delusion. This is all delusion to see things object real. From the object, everything is empty. But everything exists. How? Subjectively. Okay. So it's quite scary. Number one, it's quite scary to say that from the object everything is empty. It's quite scary. Yet don't worry, it's not that things are empty. Things exist subjectively. So for this, how things appear to a mind. Our mind is all 24 hours, 24/7. Our mind is influenced by ignorance. To make a mind, to give the impression to the mind that things appear as that things exist as objectively real. They appear as object real, and we believe them to be object real. That is ignorance. So now the reality is that nothing exists objectively, all exists subjectively. Yet things exist. How? I'll give you one example, and then we'll go into the emptiness. Okay. Example that I would like to give you is that I'm sure that each one of us, we've been in a movie theater. We've been in a movie theater, a big movie theater. So say you're watching a movie here. And where is this movie coming from? Anyone? Carolyn Hansen?
Where is the movie coming from? Where does it seem like it's coming from?
No. The movie is coming from where? When you're watching a movie in the movie
From
theater?
the screen. It appears to be coming from the screen.
No, I did not ask you where. How does it appear? I asked you, where is the movie coming from?
The projector.
Projector. How many agree with Carolyn Hansen? Raise hands. The movie is coming from the projector. So okay, you are watching the movie here, and you are there. And where is the projector? Amy, where's the projector?
Me, in me. Sorry, in me.
Okay.
The
Michael?
projector is in me.
No. I'm just talking about the movie theater. Don't talk about emptiness. I'm talking about the movie theater. Right? Okay, Michael, tell me. Where's the projector? You are watching the movie. The movie's here, and you are there. Where's the projector? Michael. Yes.
Is that me you're talking to? Yeah,
Where's the projector?
behind you.
Huh?
Behind me.
You. Okay, behind you. Okay, today, for the next, I think maybe for the next 10 years, 20 years, this example will remain very helpful. Afterwards, this example will become obsolete, because the movie projector will become redundant later on, after 20 years. Movie all will be coming right from the screen directly. At the moment, it's coming from the projector, and the projector, as Michael said, is behind you. Okay, so now let's say that this is the movie, and you are here, and the movie projector is behind you. So the movie projector is projecting the movie. Movie is actually coming from the projector. How do you know that? The moment the projector stops, the movie there on the screen stops, which means the movie is coming from the screen, from the projector, not from the screen. It is on the screen, not from the screen. The movie is on the screen, not from the screen. It's from the projector. Let's not forget it. So projector is the metaphor for subject, and the screen is the metaphor for the object. It is on the object, on the screen, but it's not from the screen. It's not from the object. It's from the projector. It's from the subject. Everything is like a movie. And the best of the projector, the most efficient projector, unfortunately, is the samsaric mind. Our samsaric mind is the most efficient projector, which never stops. Which never stops. And our regular projector, however effective that is, sometimes it can go wrong. It can stop. Whereas our projector, till you reach the path of seeing, gade, para, gade, till you reach the path of seeing, your movie projector of the mind as movie projector never stops. It keeps projecting. And not only it keeps projecting it, it makes you believe that they are true. They're objectively real. This is ignorance. Okay, the next question. Oh, it's very tiring. But this mind, the projector, never stops. It never feels tired, unfortunately. Although you are very tired, this mind is never tired. Your mind becomes very tired, still the projecting, it does not become tired. It's extremely fresh, alert, and active in projecting 24 hours, although mentally you feel exhausted, physically you feel exhausted. But with regard to projecting things, samsaric projection, it never stops, it's forever active. Extremely efficient. This is not good news for us, it's bad news for us. Therefore, we continue to suffer. So we have to make this mind to stop projecting. Stop projecting it, let the mind behave in its natural form. What's the problem? When it projects, what's the problem? Your mind is trapped. Your mind is trapped. This projector is trapped with the particular projection. It is trapped by this particular projection. And this projection decides what the mind should behave, how the mind should behave. And if you project the demon scares you. If you project the earthquake scares you. If you project the wildfire scares you. If you project the COVID-19 scares you. And I know many of you have questions, but whether I project or not, COVID-19 is a reality. Whether I project or not, the wildfire is a reality. Okay, for this, we have to first, no hurry. We should be patient. First, we have to what do you mean by projection? What does it mean by projection? We have to know this. Once you know this, and then you should get a conviction that what I'm seeing is not the reality. You must get this conviction. Through this analysis, no room for blind faith. Through this analysis, study, reflection, and then meditation, you should get a conviction that what I'm seeing is not the reality. But you are seeing something, it's purely coming from your mind. For example, like dream, it's purely coming from your mind, nothing's really there from the object. Mirage, it's purely coming from your mind, nothing really from the object. Rainbow, it's purely coming from your mind. If I ask other people, dream, subjective, objective, everybody will say it's subjective. Mirage, subjective, objective, 90% will say it's subjective and 10% will say objective. Rainbow, 50% will say it is subjective, 50% will say it's objective. The flower, 100% will say it is subjective. Maybe 0.00001 who become enlightened, or the bodhisattvas, high-level bodhisattvas, and the Buddhas will say this is subjective. Otherwise, the rest will say this is subjective. Okay. Now, the dream. You saw something in the dream. Where is that? There's no way. It's just coming. It's just your mental makeup. You'll agree with me. What is the mirage? This is also mental makeup. You'll agree with me. What about the rainbow? Some of you may say, yes, it's my mental makeup. But no, you can take a photograph. This rainbow can be captured in the photograph, which means something is from the object there. Okay. It doesn't mean it's from the object. It is simply nothing but the combination of many factors. Combination of many factors, like the water droplets in the air serving as this prism, and the light falling in a particular direction, and you in one particular direction from distance, and daylight, and all these combined together with your proper eyesight, all this combined together, you see as a rainbow. Yeah, that makes sense. Then what about this flower? Oh, this is purely objective. No, with the electron microscope, you see just the atoms. There's no flower. That's true. With my naked eyes, I see this. How can you trust your eyes? I see a flower. Where's this flower? With the electron microscope, better than your eyes. Electron microscope, it's just sees the electrons, protons, neutrons. That's it. No flower. What is that? That's true. But I saw something. Where is that? It's purely how your mind perceives it. That's it. Oh, that makes sense. You're getting it? So this is how all these examples are required. We need the examples to take you to 100% acceptance that is purely subjective, like dreams. Then the mirage, like 90%. Then the rainbow, like 50%. Then the flower, no, 0% from this objective, the subjective, 100% from the object. Then you keep, you're introduced to the subjectivity gradually from the dream to the flower. Then your mind will keep growing. Your mind will keep growing. And depending on how, how refined you do the analysis, how long you spend on this, then how successful you are in creating the conducive factors for to think about this, then this will determine how deeply you're convinced that this is all pure coming from a mind, purely subjective, everything's like a dream. Okay, this is so precious. Having said this, when we look at things, we see things are so object real. So this is deceptive. This is optical delusion. How do we know that this is optical delusion? So for this, if things truly exist, let's not forget it. If the flower truly exists as objectively, let's look at this flower. This flower exists truly as objectively. Then which of the mind should see that? The mind which is distance from the flower, or mind which is closer to the flower? Which mind should see that? This is a question. Before you give the answer, I will relate to you what Arya Nagarjuna said. Say, I'm 1 kilometer away from you, or half a kilometer away from you, and you see me in water, and you want to know whether he's really in water or what I'm seeing is deceptive. I'm seeing is just mirage. So how do you evaluate if I'm really in water or what you're seeing is deceptive? How do you evaluate this? Anyone quickly? Anyone quick? Raise hand. How do you evaluate? Okay, Sandy. Sandy.
Sneh, Geshe, I would come close to you and see you. If you were in
Perfect.
the water.
Come closer. Come closer. This is what Arya Nagarjuna taught. He said, if the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? Let's not forget it. If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? Likewise, if this flower were to exist objectively, why don't I see this flower as I go closer to the object? Okay, to how many of you it makes sense? Raise hands. To how many it makes sense? Good. Now, to see we are seeing this flower object real. How do we evaluate this? We have to go closer towards this. Which is that mind? What is that mind which go closer to the object? Ultimate analysis or conventional analysis? Ultimate analysis. So we have to subject in a technical sense. We say that let us subject to see, to evaluate if the flower exists objectively or not. We subject the flower to ultimate analysis. Subject the flower to ultimate analysis, by the very definition, this mind should go closer to its head. Going closer to its head, you end up seeing the cells of the flower. Through further, even closer, you see the chromosomes, mitochondria. And chromosomes, you see the DNA molecules. Then you see the carbon atoms, hydrogen atoms, oxygen atoms. Nowhere you see the flower. Coming closer to the object, the concept of flower dissolves. So what do you deduce from this? So when all of you from distance you see me in water and you want to evaluate whether I'm really in water or what are you seeing as a deception. So you come closer to its mean. Coming closer, you see that everything's dry. There's nothing really, there's water there. Then you deduce that what you earlier saw as water was just a mirage. Which means mirage is purely subjective, not from the object. So likewise, seeing this flower as objectively real, how do we evaluate if this object as a flower exists objectively or not? How do you evaluate this? You go closer to the object. What is that mind known as? That mind which goes to the closer object is known as ultimate analysis. In the eyes of this ultimate analysis, you just end up seeing initially end up seeing the cells. And none of the cell is as beautiful as the flower. So this beautiful flower simply dissolves. And you go deeper, it becomes worse. The cells are made of the nucleus, containing the chromosomes, mitochondria, and so forth, cell membranes. And the chromosomes made of the DNA molecules, further made of the electrons, protons, neutrons. Nowhere do we see in the flower. So what do you deduce? Oh, from the object, closer you go towards the object, the flower is not there. So what I earlier saw is deceptive. That it appears to my mind, but not really from the object. From the object, the flower is not there. It did appear to my mind. It's mere subjective appearance. It's a mere subjective appearance. And yet, don't say the flower does not exist. Don't say the flower does not exist. Flower does not exist from the object. So the fact that this ultimate analysis could not see the flower is not because the flower is non-existent, it's because the flower does not exist from the object. If it exists not from the object, how does it exist? Subjectively, it exists. So all this cause and effect, you do good things, happiness follow. You do bad things, miseries follow. You eat poison, you die. You eat food, your hunger dissolves, your hunger removes. And you drink water, you quench your thirst. And you take the medicines, your illness will go away. You don't take the medicine, you take the poison, you die. All these infallible causes and effects are all operating. They're all operating infallibly, but they're operating on the subjective level, not on the objective level. Okay. If you could remember, I see that most of you are stably from the first two classes. And I did mention about the 4 essentials to establish emptiness. You remember that? We wrote it. We wrote this 4 essentials. Remember? No? Okay. I'm going to repeat this again. The 4 essentials. So how do we know that from the objectively things are, and from the object there's nothing really there? Objectively things, what do you mean by emptiness? Emptiness also means things are empty. Things don't exist. Emptiness means things don't exist objectively. Things exist subjectively. From the object, things are empty. Objectively, things are empty. In other words, emptiness of objective existence. Okay, how do you know this? So now that we're already introduced to the conventional analysis, ultimate analysis, and so forth, it becomes way easy for us now. Okay, so we learn what is known as the reason of the 4 essentials to establish emptiness. The reason of the 4 essentials to establish emptiness. Okay, first let me enumerate these 4, and then we will go into the explanation. First, the essential of identifying the object of negation. Essential of identifying the object of negation. The essential of identifying the object of negation. Number 1. Number 2, the essential of understanding the emptiness of the objects being intrinsically one with its parts. Let me repeat it. Number 2, the essential of understanding the emptiness. Essential of understanding the emptiness of the objects being intrinsically different from its parts. Number 3, the essential of understanding the emptiness of the objects being intrinsically different from its parts. The first one is intrinsically one with its parts. Now, number 2 is just replace one with different. Okay, number 2 is essential of understanding the emptiness of the objects being intrinsically one with its parts. Number 3, the essential of understanding the emptiness of the objects being intrinsically different from its parts. Okay, number 1, essential of understanding the essential of understanding the object negation. Number 2, essential of understanding the emptiness of the objects being intrinsically one with its parts. Number 3, essential of understanding the emptiness of the objects being intrinsically different from its parts. Number 4, the essential of understanding the pervasion, P-E-R-V-A-S-I-O-N. The essential of understanding the pervasion that anything which is empty of being intrinsically one and intrinsically different from its parts entails the emptiness of objective existence of the object. Let me repeat it. Essential of understanding the pervasion that anything which is empty of being intrinsically one with and intrinsically different from its parts entails the emptiness of the objects, emptiness of the objective existence of the object. Essential of understanding the pervasion that anything which is empty of being intrinsically one with and intrinsically different from its parts entails the emptiness of objective existence of the object. Do you have to repeat? Shall I repeat? Okay, number 1, essential of understanding the object negation. Number 2, essential of understanding the emptiness of the objects being intrinsically one with its parts. Number 3, essential of understanding the emptiness of the objects being intrinsically different from its parts. Number 4, essential of understanding the pervasion that anything which is empty of being intrinsically one with and different from its intrinsically different from its parts entails the emptiness of objective existence of the object. Conclusion. Therefore, emptiness of objective existence of the object is the objectivity of the object. Therefore, emptiness of objective existence of the object is the objectivity of the object. Therefore, emptiness of objective existence of the object is the objectivity of the object.
Geshe, would you repeat
Okay.
the last
Last
sentence?
one. Which last one? Fourth or the conclusion?
The conclusion.
Okay.
About
A conclusion. Therefore, emptiness of objective existence of the object is the objectivity of the object. Therefore, emptiness of objective existence of the object is the objectivity of the object. 2019, I was attending a conference on consciousness in Israel, which was organized by a renowned, extremely renowned, very senior, renowned neuroscientist. And my presentation, a little bit about emptiness. And then I said that emptiness of objective existence of the object is the objectivity of the object. And after my talk, this neuroscientist, the very, very senior, highly reputed neuroscientist, he was so fascinated by this line, and he was asking somebody, what is this line? Emptiness of objective something what? He was just and then that person brought him directly to me, asked him, okay, ask him directly. So then I said, emptiness of emptiness of objective existence of the object is objective to the object. And he was, of course, he's so brilliant. He's so brilliant, a well-renowned neuroscientist. He was so thrilled by this line, like a small child, he was memorizing it. He was so fascinated. Emptiness of objective existence of the object is objective to the object. Emptiness of objective existence of the object is objective to the object. He was literally, like a small child, memorizing this. He was thrilled by this. Okay, this is so precious. And if you get a glimpse of this, it may seem very dichotomous there. You may seem this line as extremely dichotomous. There's something like something like entanglement inside, like confusion inside. It's not a confusion. Just get a glimpse of this, and goosebumps will come in the body. Wow. And then you'll see that, wow, finally, this is the meaning of life. Wow, I've been struggling all my life to get a peace of mind, to stay away from fear, to get away from stress and so forth. Now I got the answer. You can finally breathe, sighing with relief. Okay, so the first one, essential for identifying the object of negation. Object of negation meaning, what are you going to negate? When you say empty, you are negating it. When you say that, okay, this mug is empty of, let's say this mug is empty of tea. You are negating tea in the mug. You are negating tea in the mug. So tea in the mug becomes the object of negation. When you say that this flower is not a chocolate, so you are negating the flower to be chocolate. What's the object of negation? The flower being the chocolate is the object of negation. When you say that, okay, I'm not a demon. I'm not a demon. What are you negating? You are negating that I being a demon is negated. I being a demon is the object of negation. Okay. The flower is empty of objective existence. Anyone? What's the object of negation? Quick. This flower is empty of objective existence. What's the object of negation? Raise hands. Okay, Neely. Yes, Neely. Unmute. Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the object of negation? My question is, this flower is empty of objective existence. What is the object of negation in this context?
The form.
A form. Anyone else? Raise hand. Raise hand. Okay, Sandy. What is Sandy?
I was going to say
Snehi.
objective existence.
Objective existence. Anyone else? Okay.
Geshe, I would say the red rose, the flower, is the object of existence.
The flower. Object of negation.
Yes, the object of negation is seeing it as a flower.
Seeing as a flower or the objective flower?
The flower.
The flower. So would you mean the flowers non-existent? Are you saying?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that seeing
object
what
of negation
appears
is
as the flower, seeing what appears as the flower.
Say, what I said is that object of negation should be something which should be non-existent altogether. When you identify something as object of negation, it should be non-existent. So what I said is that this flower is not a chocolate. So what is negated? What's object of negation? The flower being the chocolate is negated. Flower being the chocolate is the object of negation. Flower being the chocolate is non-existent. Whereas you say the flower is object of negation, or seeing the flower is object of negation, then seeing the flower should be non-existent. You should not be seeing the flower. Anyone else? What's object of negation? When I said This flower does not exist. This flower is empty of objective existence. Anyone? Zainab? Yes, Zainab.
It exists from its own side.
The flower existing from its own side, and what Snaily said, Snehi or Snaily?
Nearly.
Huh? No, there's one
Snaily.
lady by who said
Snail.
objective existence.
Yes,
Ah,
Geshe-la.
Huh?
Sneh.
Snaily? Snehi or Snaily?
Sneh, Geshe-la, like Sneha.
Sneha. Your name is Sneha. No, what is your name? Tell me.
It's,
Don't be afraid.
okay. The full name is Sneh Lata Geshe-la, but Sneh is the short form.
Sneh. Okay, good. Okay, Sneh said objective existence. So to make it more precise, the flower, objective existence of the flower. And then Zainab said that the flower existing from its own side. So these two mean the same. You're getting it? So what's the objective? Say what is the objective negation of the emptiness of the object being emptiness of object being object real is, as two of them said, that the flower, that the objective exists a flower, or that the flower exists from its own side. These two are the objects of negation. Okay. So now how do you negate it? How can you say that the flower doesn't exist objectively? Objective flower is to be negated, that the flower exists from its own side is to be negated. How can you negate it? Okay, so for this, what we said before is that who is that? I think it is Sneh who said that. How do we know that? How do you know that whether I'm in water or not? You said that we should come closer towards the object. So we have to see if the flower exists objectively or not, or whether the flower exists from its own side or not. We have to go closer towards the object. What is that mind known as? The mind which go closer towards the object is known as what? Anyone? Okay, Amy. Yes.
Objective analysis. Could you hear me?
Objective analysis. Yes.
Objective analysis.
Anyone else?
The
What is that
ultimate
mind
mind.
known as?
Ultimate mind. Ultimate mind.
Ultimate mind. Ultimate mind. Anyone else? Anyone else? Zainab?
I was going to say ultimate analysis.
Ultimate analysis. Michael?
Ultimate analysis.
Ultimate analysis. So look, from one teacher, three different traditions came into being, right? Ultimate analysis, ultimate mind, and what? Amy, what did you say?
Objective analysis.
Objective analysis. Look, three different traditions came out within few seconds. You're getting it? So if it has become like 100 years, then going to be 100 different traditions come into being. So therefore Buddhism becoming, Sakya, Kagyu, Nyingma, Gelog, then Theravada, Mahayana, right? All these traditions came into being. So look, we have Zenabism is coming. Now what is that? Swanashism is coming. Then the Amism is coming. Three different traditions are coming out. You're getting it? So what is said is one, but people hear three different things, right? So Zenabism, Swanashism, and Amism. Three isms will come into being. Okay, so what I said is ultimate analysis. Let us try to be very precise with the words. So more you are precise with the words, your understanding will become very clear. Okay. So the point is that what we said is that to see whether the flower exists objectively or not, to see the flower exists from its own side or not, we have to go closer to the object, which is known as ultimate analysis. So subject and flower to ultimate analysis, we see that we end up seeing just we end up seeing the electrons, protons, neutrons. That's it. We end up seeing electrons, protons, neutrons. Nothing more than the flower dissolves. Okay. Now, if I have only 2 rooms, you know that. If I have only 2 rooms, and a person A comes to accuse me, saying that the robber is in your room, right? I've only 2 rooms. The robber is in your room right now. You have kept the robber with you. I have 2 rooms. So there are only 2 options. If the claim is correct, there are only 2 options. Either the robber should be in my room A or in my room B. There are only 2 options. So I open the first room. It's totally empty, no robber. Then maybe in the room B, open the room B. It's totally empty. So combined together, I disprove the person's claim that I have kept the robber in my room. How many agree with me, sense? This example. Good. Likewise, if the flower does exist objectively, there are only 2 options. Flower to exist objectively. There are only 2 options. So first, we would go towards closer to the object, which is ultimate analysis. Subject the flower to ultimate analysis, we end up seeing just electrons, protons, neutrons. So of the 2 options, one option is that either these electrons, protons, neutrons should be the flower, or if you still believe that the flower exists objectively, then remove the atoms. They should be the flower different from the atoms. There's only 2 options if the flower does exist objectively. How many agree with me, sense? Good. Okay. Now, you go into that, you subject the flower to ultimate analysis. You are seeing you just end up seeing the electrons, protons, neutrons, or let's say atoms. So which mind is that? Which mind is that which is looking for, which is searching for the flower? Which mind is that? Ultimate analysis. So ultimate analysis, or the analysis of the intrinsic nature. These two are the same. Analysis of the intrinsic nature. Analysis of the intrinsic nature, ultimate analysis, they mean the same. Now, with this analysis, so what you end up seeing is just the atoms. And the one option is that atoms should be the flower. If the flower does exist objectively, then objectively, what you have seen is just atoms. Atoms should be the flower. This is one option. And if you, how many you would say the atoms are not the flower? Raise hands. Flower is very beautiful. This flower is very beautiful. Atoms are not beautiful. Raise hands. Atoms are not the flower. Okay. If you agree that atoms are not the flower, atoms are intrinsically from the object. Atoms are not one with the flower. Atoms are not to be identified as the flower. Atoms are not to be identified as one with the flower. Atoms are not to be identified as intrinsically one with the flower. So if you agree with me, you have understood this second essential of understanding the emptiness of the objects being intrinsically one with its parts. Okay, how many you get something out of this? May not be 100%, at least something. Yes, it makes sense. Raise hands. Good. Now, the first option is ruled out, that the atoms to be intrinsically to be identified as one with the flower. That is ruled out. If the atoms are not to be identified as one, intrinsic one with the flower, then does the flower exist as different from these atoms? Remove the atoms. What do you find? You'll find nothing left as a flower. Once the atoms are removed, nothing is left as a flower as intrinsically different from the atoms, different from the parts. How many agree with me, raise hands? Very good. So different from the atoms, there's nothing to do about the flower. These are the only two options if the flower exists objectively. These are the only two options. Given that both options are ruled out, what is your deduction? Your deduction is that whatever is empty of being intrinsic one with the parts, or empty is different from the parts, means from the object, there's nothing as the object. Objectively, it is the flower is empty. How many you got some sense out of this resonance? If you got some sense, you get some sense of the fourth essential. That anything, understanding the emptiness of the object, understanding the pervasion, that anything which is empty of being intrinsic one with and intrinsically different from its parts entails the emptiness of the objects, being the entails the emptiness of objects, the entails the emptiness of objective existence of the object. You got this part. Okay, conclusion. So what's the reality of this flower? What is the objective reality of the flower? Emptiness, you have discovered that from the object is empty. Emptiness of the objective existence is the reality. Emptiness of objective existence of this object, the flower, is the objectivity of the objectivity. From the object, what is there? That from the object, that there is no object from the object. This is the objective reality. How many you get some sense out of this? It gets some sense, although there's a little bit of confusion, still it makes, yes, it does make sense. It does make some sense. Very good. So now with this is how we have to, it is the part when I actually meditate on this to be meditated upon on a daily basis. When you meditate on this, of course you will say you may feel it little, they say intellectual, technical, and you may not, feel something inside. Goosebumps, the way I explained earlier, goosebumps, these may not come. But of course, this is the opposite of this is the self-grasping ignorance. Self-grasping ignorance that we inherited is a chronic disease. The chronic disease which we inherited since many lifetimes ago. It's not that easy to be got rid of. So we have to practice it more often. Practice more often. This is so precious. Okay. Before I wind up, any questions? One or two questions? Okay, Sneh.
Geshe, your whole discussion has made me go back to the first question you asked, which is, do things exist? And, the answer should be yes, but then I'm thinking, depending on the frame of reference and that it's subjective, like even the answer to me now, do things exist, seems to be very subjective.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So subjective means not objective. From the object is empty. From the subject, things exist. That's perfect. Then, you got the answer.
But Geshe, but then I think the confusion or paradox in my mind is, like, okay, my iPhone exists for me. I call it an iPhone, but, for my cat, it doesn't exist, right? So even existence is like so relative. Am I?
Okay. For the cat, it exists. It may not exist as an iPhone. It exists. It exists. Because if you stack the iPhones, he will jump on it, right? Without the iPhones, nothing stacked there. He will freely move, which means that he knows that something is there. It exists, but it does not exist as an iPhone to that cat.
So Geshe, how
particularly fancy iPhone.
What is the definition, a good definition of existence?
Of course, which is established by valid mind.
So for the cat, how? So for
the cat, don't worry. For the cat food exists. Cat food exists. Compassion exists. Love and affection exists. But for you, what do you want? What made you come to this class? Is it to remove the problem of the cat or problem of yours?
My problems.
The first to solve your problem, right? First to solve your problem, see if it is relevant to solve your problem. Once you're able to do that, then see how to share this wisdom to other beings, including the cat, right? Good. More questions? Nili, your question?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi. Well, I just wanted to propose maybe something unique to show that there is no really contradiction between what you say, the sort of ultimate realization, the emptiness or the conventional form. From my experience, well, I'm doing architecture, and and it's not only in architecture, but you see, when you see a flower, for instance, that you've never seen before, or a tree or anything, an object, but you still can say, this is a flower. How come? And the explanation for that, through our research in forms, was that actually what you see is really what you're saying. It's actually the pattern. It's not the form. It's the relationship between the parts or the underlying structure of that form. It's not the form. And this is why when you see, I don't know, a square in a town or a tree, you say, wow, this is a table, this is a square, this is, but actually you've never seen it before, but it is. So I think there is no really contradiction, because when you say, you get closer to something and you see the parts and the cells, what you actually do see is the parts, but what you realize is what actually repeats itself is the interrelationship between those parts, which generates, the pattern. So there is no really contradiction between the form and and the emptiness, which I thought it would be nice maybe to introduce.
Okay, this is good. Then the but when we say it is good, let us not be complacent that you still said, okay, yeah, there's not really form there, but the pattern is there. Then you believe the pattern to be objectively real. There's a problem.
Well,
even the pattern doesn't exist objectively. Let's not forget it.
well,
Even this pattern, because why I'm saying this is that when I was a small boy, when I was age, I think 11, 12, 13, when I was introduced to geometry,
yeah,
angles, all these things, I was doing pretty good. So I was so fond of becoming an architect. So wanting to become an architect remained for about 1 or 2 years.
Mhm.
So what I'm saying is that, yes, I have inclination. In fact, I'll say my teacher of geometry, when some complicated questions come up, he will say that any one of the student can give the answer. Tomorrow, I'll give you 5 rupees as a reward. So my friends would turn to me, hey, Dorji, you have to give the answer tomorrow so that we will have a small party, right? So what I'm saying is that yes, and this is also what the neuroscientists, so you are given the architect's the point of view, and the neuroscientists, they will say it's just a play of the pattern in your brain. There's nothing really out there. There's nothing really there.
Yeah, I know.
It's
This
just
is what,
this is what the neuroscientist is saying. So the thing is that this is amazing. So therefore, in Buddhism, there's what I remember. What is the Swanash? What is your name? Swanash.
Suvansh.
Suvansh. So what Suvansh last time you asked a question and then I give the answer. 5 levels of emptiness. 5 levels of emptiness. Experientially speaking, there are many more. But technically, textually, we see the 5 levels taught very prominently. 5 levels. So when you speak about, say, for example, say there's nothing, there's a form and so forth, which of the 5 levels this understanding of emptiness they fit into? You have to check it. You have to study all these 5. That would be very helpful. In fact, I would say that people from like the architecture, from neuroscience who are really brilliant ones. If you're not really brilliant ones, if you just copy what the senior neuroscience said and just go on that basis, then there's no fun. But if you're really brilliant neuroscientists, you see that what is really happening there is just a play of the neurons inside your brain, and then manifesting in the form of some, say the mental activities. So from the object, there's nothing there. What I'm seeing is not reality. It's just the mental activities happening in your mind, which are activated by the neurons. So there, the chance for them to get into emptiness closer is high. Like was for the architects, it's very helpful. But keep in mind that let's not remain complacent with only, this is what we have found, right? We have found, just see if there's something subtler than what you found. Don't feel complacent. This is so important. 5 levels of emptiness. Let's not forget it. Okay, next question. Okay, Robin.
Geshe, I'm in NMC 2 right now. And the question that I answered incorrectly before, that, these 2 things cannot be happening simultaneously. You can't have something happening inherently, or ultimately and conventionally simultaneously. And I was just wondering.
Okay, Robin, Robin, just keep it this in mind. Keep it simple.
Okay.
Keep it simple and then take it further. Let's say that, I say that if you ask me, okay, Geshe, are you human being or non-human being? I'm both, right? This is a disaster. This is wrong. This is wrong. If I'm a human being, I cannot be a non-human being. If I'm a non-human being, I cannot be a human being. You're getting it? So this is to start from there. Take this, and then go. You're getting it? So where is Amy? I gave the example already. Amy, for Marianne, with respect to Marianne as the frame of reference, Amy is a daughter. With respect to Zomba as the frame of reference, Amy is a mother. You're getting it? There's no contradiction there. But there are things where you see contradiction there. If you ask me, Geshe, are you human being or non-human being? I would say both. This is wrong. Both cannot be correct.
Okay, so
take from there. Take from there, and then you debate. Yes, then the debates can keep going. As you keep going the debates, your intelligence will keep increasing, keep sharpening. Just we need something. We need something to begin with.
Yes, Geshe, I'm just wondering if there's any correlation between this simultaneous and
No, that is your job, Robin. That is your job.
Okay.
Don't let me spoon feed you. You're from NMC 2.
Okay.
NMC 2 people, So usually the chances that Geshe is a little more strict, right? Okay, so the correlation, it is your job. The more you look for the correlation yourself, rather than wait for somebody to tell you, your intelligence will grow. But emptiness is not about just the object. Your mind should see this emptiness. So for this mind, your mind should be exceptionally malleable, exceptionally dexterous, exceptionally intelligent. So, we have to take the opportunity to look for the correlations yourself, to work on this. Don't expect to get emptiness right away. Okay, Addison. Alison?
Well, now I don't know if I should ask this question, but I was going to ask if it was a correct analysis to say that the reason that they're not simultaneous, like with the flower and the atoms, is because when you look with just your eyes at the flower, it's functioning for you as a flower. You have the characteristics of the shape and the color and maybe smell or something that is going into your general image of what a flower is. So then it's functioning for you as a flower. But when you look with an electron microscope, electrons are not going to function as a flower. They're functioning as electrons. So would you say that's correct or not?
That's very good. So how do you evaluate something, whether it's a flower or not? See in the first place whether it functions as a flower. That's perfect.
And would you
It's
say
very good.
that is the valid, that the characteristics are the thing upon which, and they talk about that there's a valid base upon which you need to impute, like, because you can't just look at empty space and say there's a dog there, because it's not a valid base to impute a dog on. But could you say like one of the reasons is because when the flower is functioning for you as a flower, at that time it's not functioning as the atoms. Can you say that, or is it
So
still?
so for this, keep in mind that the flowers are made of atoms, and the chocolate is also, the stone is also made of atoms. The chocolate is made of atoms, right? So the basic base of designation is just the atoms. But one come together, it becomes chocolate. One comes together, it becomes a rock. It's not a chocolate. So don't say that you can eat the rock because it's made of atoms, which constitute the chocolate. Don't say that. Although the base of destination is the same, but you see that one comes in the form of chocolate, one comes in the form of rock.
Because it can't function that way.
Function wise different way. Bad ways of basic destination is just the same.
Thank you.
Okay, Jennifer.
Yes, thank you so much, Geshe-la. I just had a question regarding what you were saying about neuroscience. So, because I used to study that back in the day, and then I came across a very nihilistic standpoint. And so, because I think a lot of people would say, yes, it's a dependent arising of the neurons and the object and the interplay of the brain. But of course, when I was studying it, it was still very nihilistic, because once the neurons go, once, you're clinically dead, then the appearance of consciousness ceases. And so I'm just curious how one would make an argument, against that to like a neuroscientist with a very materialistic view.
So basically, let's not forget that this flower and my perception of flower, we should not mix the two things. The flower and my perception of flower, these two are different. When I die, my perception of flower will disappear. Don't latch on to my perception of the flower. You're getting it? The flower will remain. My perception of flower will dissolve because of the neurons working to create a perception in me will dissolve when I die. That's for 100% sure. But the flower will remain. So this distinction should be made. The flower and my perception of flower. So the neuroscientists will say that when you die, your perception of flower will dissolve because the atoms will become totally, the neurons will die. Neurons will die, and they say purely from neuroscience point of view, who does not believe in the mind except from the brain, like what Professor Eric Kandel, who's a Nobel laureate in 2004 in physiology, what he said in his book, In Search of Memory, what he said was that they say, according to the contemporary neuroscientists, there are two hypotheses. First one, there's no mind. There's no mind, it's just a brain. Second hypothesis, there's a mind, but it's a derivative of the brain. When the brain dies, the mind disappears. These are the two main hypotheses. But it's just a belief. They don't, they have nothing to prove. Because say, no, you don't see the mind. That's it. And this is a very serious question. But still, whatever is the case, be it pure neuroscience perspective or from the blend of neuroscience and the, say, the advocate of the mind as different from the brain, but these two are very closely dependent, mutually dependent on each other. So from both point of view, we should make the distinction between the object and the perception of the object. Perception of object dissolves when the brain dies, but the object will remain. Okay, Savanash.
Geshe-la, just a
Savansh.
Savansh, yes. Just a quick
Savansh.
request. You know, the subject, the 5 levels of emptiness. I haven't been exposed to that teaching. You know, could you? I mean, I'm not asking you to provide us much, but anything written from your side, any document, even a 1 page, even a half page, you know, listing it with your terms, okay, exactly how you stated, I think would be much appreciated if you can send that to us.
No, what for you want it?
Well, because I mean, I'd like to study that material.
You want to study it?
Yes.
Just to know what is said there, or you want to experience it?
Both, to intellectually understand and hopefully someday to experience it on the cushion.
If you want to experience it, ask Ruben and Caroline, what should we do? They will tell you.
Okay.
They will tell you. You understand what I'm saying? It's not just reading. Reading will not help. You're getting it? You have to study this very seriously. So one option would be NMC, NDC.
What do those acronyms mean?
Okay, so you have to check with them.
Okay, very good, will do.
None of the master's course, NMC is none of the master's course, and NDC is, Caroline, what is that? NDC.
No, on the diploma course.
Yes, you have to do it. Not necessarily you have to do these. There are similar courses by other institutions also. You have to study very seriously. Not just reading, because reading, it can create disaster just by reading. Because I know some professors who claim themselves as professors of Buddhist studies. And what they teach us, in some cases, not all, in some cases, is disaster. They say in Buddhism, there's nothing existent. Selflessness, Buddha taught selflessness. There's nothing existent. This is a disaster, which means he falls into nihilism. It's not emptiness. So purely reading is very dangerous. It may not help. Okay, Sneha, you have a question?
Geshe-la, I have a request that I want to make now because who knows what will happen tomorrow, which is, you know, you made the statement when we were talking about doing ultimate analysis that things only exist subjectively, you know, which made me think of the whole Yogacara school. So my request is, Geshe-la, please find time in your schedule to come back and give a teaching for us on, you know, how the Yogacaras see the world versus how Madhyamaka sees it as being objectively empty. So thank you.
So how long?
Sorry, Geshe-la?
How long? For how long?
Oh, we
You
were going
said
to
come
write
back
you
and teach for how long?
for however much time you have, Geshe-la. We were going to contact your office, and see what your schedule would be like to schedule for the
to
teachings.
be more practical, is ask Robin and Carol Hansen.
Okay. But Geshe-la, not everybody can.
And
take
also
the
actually Michael also. Michael, you're from NMC? Yes.
Yeah, but
Ask
Geshe-la,
these three.
yes, but not everyone can take this wonderful Nalanda Masters course. So we
No. What for you want to study these? What for? If you want to get rid of your miseries, right? It's not can or not cannot. It's not about it. If there's a tumor, nobody wants surgery. If there's a tumor, there's no choice other than to go for surgery. Don't say can, cannot, right? If you want to get rid of your miseries, go for NMC or NDC. If you don't want to get rid of miseries, just to enrich your intellectual skills, then read books.
Geshe-la, just to interject, are those courses or programs available in the United States, or do I have to go to India?
No, ask them.
It's online. It's online courses.
Okay.
Online, offline, both, you know, the things that, okay, for, and at the moment, NMC is closed. NMC is already like almost 1 year, but NDC is still, is already closed, but still, if you make a request, they will consider you for NDC Nalanda diploma course. This 1 year course. Nalanda master's course is for 5 years. Nalanda diploma course is still open. But if you check the website, Tibeta's website, then you will see that it's closed. But don't worry, just get right to the coordinators. They will still consider. Okay, thank you. Okay, the Sunny dedication prayers.
Okay. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful Chenrezig, Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with a dedication praised as the best by all the Buddhas who appeared in the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. May the supreme bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into that enlightened state. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 3 times, and to the upholding of the Dharma of teaching and realization. May I in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect view, and the 2 stages. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find new hope, constant happiness, and prosperity. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their illness, and may every disease in the world never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting one another. By the merits I have accumulated, may every single being abandon all forms of wrongdoing and perpetually engage in virtue. May they never be parted from the mind of bodhicitta, and may they always engage in the bodhisattva's conduct. May they be cared for by the Buddhas and relinquish the actions of devils. May no living creature ever suffer, commit wrong, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled, or their minds ever be depressed. May all the pains of living creatures ripen solely upon myself, and through the might of the Bodhisattva Sangha, may all beings experience happiness, having dispelled all inner and outer obstacles and downfalls, such as poverty, despair, oppression, cruelty, epidemics, and natural disasters due to environmental degradation. May all beings forever enjoy the glory of peace and happiness. Inspired by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings, and I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. By the power of practicing and supplicating to you, may all be free from sickness, poverty, and conflicts, and may Dharma and the auspiciousness proliferate in all the places where we abide. The path of the union of emptiness and compassion is lucidly explained by the protector of both the Dharma and the beings of the land of snows. You are the lotus holder, Tenzin Gyatso. We supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans and non-humans who harbor malice through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be totally vanquished through the power of the truth of the three jewels, by the dependent realization of the profound sections of appearance and emptiness, together with the force of great compassion of the three jewels and the power of truth, and through the virtue of the infallible law of karmas and their fruits, may this truthful prayer of ours be unhindered and quickly fulfilled. May the teaching of this beneficent one till world's end be unshaken by the winds of evil thoughts. May it always be met by innumerable beings who find conviction in the teaching by understanding the teacher's true nature, teaching's true nature. May I never falter even for an instant to uphold this excellent way of the sage, which illuminates the principle of dependent origination through all my births, even giving away my body and life. May I spend day and night carefully reflecting by what means can I enhance this teaching achieved by the Supreme Savior through strenuous efforts over countless eons. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma. By completing the qualities of the stages and paths, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by Arya Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings on dependent origination in particular, even at the cost of my life.
Deata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvatyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvatyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha. Okay, have a good weekend to all of you.
Thank you, Geshe. Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe.
Thank you, Geshe.
See you tomorrow, Geshe-la. Thank you, Sunny.
Thank you, Sunny.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Sunny.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.